What's up, y'all? Welcome to this episode of For All Nerds Show. On this episode, we discuss why every single genre of American music comes straight from Black people. And what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the For All Nerds Show. As always, it's your boy DJ Ben Amin, aka Howard University's own Briss Blairmont, Halal Jordan, Cal El Bundy, Stop Pilgrim, Bidfetch, Lionel Richie, the legend of Slapper Vance De La Troll here in the spaceship tonight. And as always, I'm joined by
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of Tech, also known as Lambo Calrissian, Gucci Mandalorian, Tesseract Thompson, Doc Aki, Kodak Blackwoods, the Ting of the North, and the Lord of Lightsabers.
And like I said, Lionel Richie, one of my fabulous AKAs, being repped by Tatiana King. And also, you might have seen it on Mr. Mark Lamont Hill on another, world famous podcast, The Joe Budden Show. Big shout outs to them. Shout outs to Mr. Hill for rocking the Lionel Richie joint that you yourself can get one at forallnerds.com.
Period.
Word up. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mark Lamont Hill.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the support. You're probably going to be seeing him rock some more things. And as Ben Amin says, if you go to forallnerds.com, you can get yours as well. And there's a little promo going on as well. You could get 10% off your order. Hey, if you want 2 shirts, you're going to get discount off that too. I'm just saying, you got to go.
Go get you some. And yeah, once again, shout out to Mark Lamont Hill for the support and for the service, for the good work that you were doing over on that show.
Yes. Oh my gosh. First of all, I didn't know he was like a full-time host.
Yeah, Tatiana King just learned about this. I feel like a lot of people just learned that Mark became a full-time host, as I told Tatiana during the Flat Earther Week.
Yeah, that week was ridiculous.
Which you also did not really know about. And
I knew about it. I didn't put 2 and 2 together that he was part of that.
Yes.
So I just did not, because once I heard what it was and I listened to maybe 5 minutes, but I said absolutely not.
Oh yeah,
I'm not doing this with these niggas. No.
Well, as someone who I personally have had to deal with friends who are flat Earth supporters, believers. I don't know what the word is exactly for them. I applaud Mr. Hill, Mark, for holding his ground, for maintaining his calm, cool, collected self while discussing this with these people who are. It's quite difficult, honestly, to discuss it with people because, when people do not believe in accepted science, it's hard to, because, all right, like in the classic Jay-Z, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. But when people believe that the numbers are lying, it becomes really hard to deal with them, man. And I've experienced this with not just with flat earthers, but with just a lot of lately, ignorance in the world. Like I know you saw the shit about Harriet Tubman not existing.
Yes, I've heard it all, and I'm just tired of giving life to any of this shit. Same reason why I can't do the flat earth conversation with nobody. If we don't even agree on the basic premise that 1 + 1 = 2, then what are we talking about?
But see, the thing is, this is my thing. How do we, I waver on the subject, right? Because sometimes I feel like we need to reach these people, and sometimes I feel like they're the people that Harriet Tubman would have shot.
That's my point. What Harriet did, and I follow the same suits. Y'all don't need to be saved. Y'all got it. See you at the end, my nigga, because you ain't making
it. But like I said, some of these people
the true death is yours.
Some of these people are my friends, and I've been trying to figure out,
are they your friends?
Yes.
Are they acquaintances and people you know? I think you might want to define the role of friend in your life, because I don't know. I don't know if I would classify that as a friend. Perhaps a person you know, perhaps a colleague, perhaps even a comrade at some point. But a friend, I don't know.
God damn.
Think about that for real.
I mean, no, these are all very wise words, folks. We might need to clip what you just said.
I'm just saying.
Even if you've known someone for a long time, which I have with these people, it's also true. their colleagues and comrades. Like I would call you my friend, my sister, obviously. I would call people like Mello, my friend and brother.
Yeah, I would call Luna. I would call Joel, my friend. Like, those are people I trust.
And
have a conversation with and know that we may not agree on everything, but 1 + 1 = 2. That's that. I think people have to stop letting shit slide and stop letting these flat earther niggas and randoms like that drag this shit. Like, the moment they start saying 1 + 1 is 3, you need to go, thank you for your service. You're now relegated to someone I know. I'm telling you, this is not in your ministry to allow these people to be in your circumference. They're going to completely rot your brain with all the nonsense that you have to think about and all the mental gymnastics you have to go through to communicate with them. And 2, it's just gonna make you upset as a person. I don't want to be upset.
Like, I remember, like, and you know who I'm talking about, this certain influencer we both talked about before, and their ignorance, and how we weren't going to have them on this show because we didn't want to spread their ignorance. But I was also at one point wanting to, I don't know, not debate them, because when I actually did speak to them, I realized, oh my God.
There was no debating it.
No, it's no debating stupidity. I can't debate somebody who is, like, not educated. I can't, I guess this is a perfect segue. Like, I had well, I don't want to talk about that just yet, so I won't segue it here just yet. So no, but talking to this person, I realized that it wasn't worth having them on the show, because even though they are a nerd and a blurred, it's just they have such diametrically opposed views, and I do not believe that their views have any logic behind them. That's the thing. Like, I always I've been talking to someone who I can say is a friend, right? Another person who I could say is a friend. And we've been having a discussion and a disagreement over the idea if all cops are bastards. And it was funny. Today I shook a police officer's hand. I was like, this man probably seems like a nice guy. But you're still a bastard. It's like, unfortunately, like, sorry, bro, you put on the uniform.
Two things could be true.
Two things can be true. And that was the thing about, the discussion I was having with my friend. We were going back and forth with this. And while I was presenting numbers, and he was like, well, I don't believe these numbers. At least he wanted to see, debate the numbers. He didn't want to act like the numbers didn't exist. You know what I mean?
There's certain things that are irrefutable facts.
Yes.
And it's not an opinion. It's not even open to, I don't believe. And that's where you lose me. You lose me. If we are debating on something that is irrefutable, and not even debating, you're telling me your opinion that, well, I don't believe in it, then this is not an opinion of logic. This is not an opinion. This is not a conversation of logic. This is not a conversation of facts. This is a conversation of you just coming out with anything out your ass and telling me why you don't believe in it. Like, it's not, like, I can't have a conversation like that.
Yeah. No.
There's no way.
No, so you're saying this about, flat earth, not versus
I'm saying this about niggas that don't believe that 1 + 1 = 2. I'm talking about people who debate very proven common thing. You mentioned at the top, you said science. So it could be flat earth. It could be anybody. It could be any topic where it's just like, bruh, it's not really up for debate.
But the ACAB, I won't.
That's an opinion. That's an opinion. That's fine. I'm not, and again, I'm not talking about having people. I have friends where I have vastly difference of opinions in, right?
I have friends who are cops,
but none of them say the earth is flat. That is the distinction that I am making.
Damn it, I know some Negroes then who
people, Oh, I fuck with him on Tuesday when we go to the club together. That's it.
This is also pretty true, sadly. And I don't have to worry about it. I don't think they'll ever listen to this episode to know because my friends listen to this show.
I'm talking about you, nigga. No,
oh, welcome to the ForAllNerds show.
Oh my goodness.
Again. I think it was last week. We were discussing Mission Impossible.
Yes.
The Final Reckoning. And I'd seen it. Tatiana had not seen it yet. You have now seen it.
I have now seen it.
in the time that you went and saw it, I went and watched 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think. Yeah. So I'm like Mission Impossible down right now. So let's talk about it. How did you feel about it? And why? And explain to me why isn't the worst one in the series?
Why is it the worst one? Okay.
No, why it isn't.
Or
because I think it is.
Well, I don't disagree with you. Damn. However, do you want, but I'm not, before I get there, I want to give you my response to how I feel about the movie.
Yeah.
You want the good or the bad first?
I want the good first.
I'll answer it first. I'll answer you, and I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do the bad first. The bad.
Damn.
It was much too long. It was much too long. Niggas could have cut out a whole hour and some change, and it would have been fine.
Like, easily.
Like, niggas, stop fucking talking, please.
Niggas, stop flashbacking.
Please. Point 2 that I think was on the bad side of the equation. Some of the cinematic directorial choices was maybe unintentionally hilarious. All and right. I'm like, y'all can't be fucking serious.
Was on the ground kicking niggas. So when he was like, you spend too much time on the internet, and he's kicking this guy.
That's just typical Mission Impossible corny stuff. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, because I was rolling.
I'm talking about, like I said, certain cinematic / directorial choices. For example, there is a scene where they're doing a flashback because it's an old character from like the first movie. I think it's the first movie that comes back.
Yeah.
And they're doing a flashback about the scene that he's in the first movie.
Yeah.
And then when that scene is over, they literally do like a Looney Tunes like circle cutout back to current day. And I'm like, and I busted out laughing. I said, whose idea was that? And again, I think it's the only type of movie they even use that effect. I don't even know what it's called. CinemaScope? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But they use that effect. And then there's other points where they use these strange transitions where I'm like, is this a PowerPoint or is this a feature film? And I couldn't tell.
Rewatching the old ones, there's a lot of, but they were pretty fire, but there's interesting transitions.
It was, again.
In a lot of them. Yeah.
So, honestly, that's where my quote bad stuff ends. The good, for me, mm-hmm. The good, then I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, I thought it was lit. I thought the film, generally speaking, besides all that other bullshit, I thought it was lit. I thought they went crazy on the action scenes. Which is the main, it was more than that, but it was the main reason, maybe only 2 you fucked with, but there was more than 2 scenes.
Yeah.
The way the movie was constructed was crazy action scene, dumb long talking. Some weird transition about the past, Tom Cruise running, and an action scene. And it repeated that over and over again. There was maybe 4, maybe 5, but there was at least 4 action scenes.
Yeah, there's like 4. There's where he's kicking on the ground. There's the underwater submarine crazy.
There's the submarine. There's the
planes. The planes is one of the greatest things ever put to film.
Yeah. There's also
and there's some shootouts.
Yeah, like there's a car chase. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on.
The car chase I was forgettable.
There's a car chase, and then there's what I did like about it is they have a lot of scenes where it's like everybody in the team is doing something like. Somebody's fighting this nigga over here, and someone's trying to break out the jail over here, and another person's trying to defuse a bomb over there. And it's just like, which I did fuck with, like because it shows that no matter where they are in the world or where they are in the mission, they're all still working as a team. And the way that they shot at was actually really smart and fun the way they shot it. Like there will be a scene, for example, where Tom may go, like he may be throwing his arm to give somebody a punch. And then the camera pulls back and it's one of the girls like punching a bad guy, on the other side of the room. And then like, something falling out the sky and it switches over to someone on the other side of the world, like, catching something, you know what I mean? Like, but they all part of the team. They all doing shit. Like that shit was fire to me. And as mentioned, the action scenes were incredible. That's why the fuck I came. I didn't really give a damn about the exposition. The story doesn't fucking matter. And I hope people understand that. And at least that's why I go to Mission Impossible. The story, when I say the story don't matter, like there's always a premise of we trying to get this thing, right? We're trying to get this MacGuffin or whatever you want to call it. We're trying to get this rabbit's foot. We're trying to get this bag of money. We're trying to get this bomb, whatever it is. That's always the end goal. But at the end of the day, it's okay. Well, what's all the stupid, crazy action shit that they do?
Yes.
And they fulfilled that for me, which is why I felt that this shit was lit. That being said, was it the worst out of the series? Yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. And that's
but it was still fun for me. It was still very much fun. And I say worst out of the series, and I have to personally, man, I say that loosely because this series, yes, it jumped the shark years ago, but it had been typically lots of, quote, corny things happening, corny dialogue, corny choices. And it's just that I don't know, we just never noticed. Because when you went back and watched it, maybe you felt like the first few were still cool, but there's always been like some weird things going on as it progressed.
All right. Now, first, I didn't watch the first one or the second one. And
well, that's the catalyst.
No, yeah, but I've seen them too many times, and I don't. And the second one is the one that John Woo, I think, directed, and
the one everybody hates.
Yeah,
hated back in the day.
And is good, but I actually don't hate it. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it to see why.
It was what it was. Niggas didn't like the doves.
It to me, the series is like just like Fast and Furious, where it really turns into something else when McGee, the current director, comes on. Because 3 is Philip Seymour Hoffman, which is a really kind of dark one, and like Philip Seymour Hoffman is like super villainous.
But wasn't that also around the time when he passed too? So
I think he passes like year or two after that.
Yeah, it was close. It was close. Right. It was somewhere close. So I remember it feeling even darker because of that.
Yeah, and then he's really good. Rewatching it, that one is fire.
He's very good.
And it also
Cavill's good.
Cavill's later, yeah. And it's like, but that's what I'm saying. Like I rewatching it, especially around 3 when he I can't remember the woman's name, but when he gets married in 3 and then he's retired, and then Philip Seymour basically drags him out of retirement, and then in 4 he realizes, okay, I can't stay married to this woman, and is keeping her at a distance. And then it goes into 5 and I think it's 6 with Henry Cavill, when Henry Cavill at the very end, when like that was to me the best one, because it was like just pure action straight through. Henry Cavill is amazing as the villain. And then it kind of wraps everything up. You get to see everybody. You get to see Luther. You get to see Benji. You get to see his ex-wife again. Rebecca Ferguson, the new shorty he's with. They're like going off into the sunset together at the end of the film. His ex-wife is happy. And it was like a perfect wrap up. But then that shit made so much money because that was the illest one. Right. And they came back for these last 2. And to me, these last 2 have been where it's like, that's where it jumped the shark for me. The last 2 has been where it's been like they both had. I want to see, now that they're both out and we are talking about it, I want to see the supercut where they cut out an hour and a half of talking out of this fucker.
At least an hour and a half. Yeah. I mean, out of the 2 parts, part 1 is way better.
Yes.
Part 1 is way better.
If you cut out an hour and a half of the talking to this one, and then like the first one had to say it's the same damn story and it's a lot of the same exposition. So cram them together, and then I think you got a fire film.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I would say I would agree with that.
Yeah. Because when you rewatch the other ones, it's so crazy how they went to just so much blah blah blah. Because the other ones are just like out the gate action,
more quick,
more action. Talk 5 minutes. Somebody gets killed. Well, action.
Ben, he's mad. Oh, he needs some breaks.
No, you're right.
He's mad. Oh, he needs some breaks, man.
You see it in this one, and that's what hurts.
Another thing why the movie was this second Dead Reckoning, whatever, it was so long, is because half of it is just highlight reels. Like it's literally a Ethan Hunt highlight reel of everything he's done for 100 years, and like literally the clips from the other. And it's just like, to me, it also takes you out of it a little bit, because remember, these clips are like 20 plus years old. So the way they looks different. Like it doesn't look like it's just like, it looks different. Like it's not like he's sitting there watching it on a TV screen, right? It's just supposed to be his memories, and like the memory, and I guess memories don't work that way, but the memories don't even match up. It's like one is in like 1080p, the other one's in 8K HD. The one before that is UHD. Like it's so weird. It's like
the first Mission Impossible is definitely shot on film. Probably the first 3 or so are probably still shot on film, and now they all digital and various digital cameras. And,
it was just jarring. I was just like, I felt like I was watching ESPN. I was just like, wait a minute now, what? Are we like? Are they literally like? cutting us out of the movie to be like, bruh, remember when this nigga did that? Like,
yes, they were.
And that's cool. Like, if you are a Mission Impossible super fan, you're going to fuck with it. But it just, to me, just bogged down the movie. Because even though I was enjoying myself, at the same token, I was just like, bruh, the movie's still going. And my husband was there. I looked at him, I was like, it's still going. We went to like the latest showing in the city. We got out at
Jesus.
1 a.m.
Fuck, how did you stay awake?
Because and it was just like, I think like they knew how much exposition can we stick in before the person starts falling asleep. And at that point, through the action scene, at that point, I was like, oh my God, they're talking. The submarine scene.
Yeah.
And, okay. Oh my God. More talking. The biplane, it was. And then what cracked me up the most about the film is just like it's just in ways that the way that it was trite was just like, yes, we know this is an impossible situation that characters in. How can we make it more impossible?
Yes, okay.
And it felt like you sitting there, like me and my husband did the game with each other while we were sitting in the theater after the fact. We was just like, yo, you on an airplane, right? And you hanging off the side. How can we make it more impossible?
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, let's break the wing. All right, that's cool, but that's not impossible enough. How can we make it more impossible? Give Gabriel a knife.
Yeah.
All right. And like it just keeps escalating. Like someone was just sitting there, like you could tell time was high as fuck in the writer's room with them. And they was like, Tom, this is the idea we got. You going down there in the summer. And he goes, all right, guys, what about this?
Yeah.
What about if I almost drown? And it just kept going. And I'm not going to tell everything because I want to give it away, but it just keeps escalating.
No, and that's when it escalates to the point of unbelievability. Even though all these films have that bit of
Furious levels, though. What you said was really good. It's Fast and Furious level of unbelievability. Like, okay.
And I feel like that's why I say that the one with Cavill is the one, because that's the one where it's like Tom's at his peak, the directing's at the peak, all the acting is, and it's the one where it's like, okay, he survived this, but this is when he should retire. And then it's like, even the ending of that one, it's the same type of thing where Luther has to cut this wire, what's-his-name has to cut it, Benji has to cut a wire, Rebecca has to cut a wire, and Tom is on a cliff battling this nigga, and they don't even know what's going on with Tom, and Tom has to pull the detonator out, and they have to wait and just hope that Tom is pulling the detonator out because they can't even talk to Tom.
And this keeps getting repeated movie after movie after movie, which is why I'm like, why are you surprised?
And that's what I'm saying. Once you did it in 8, you can't do it with a goddamn AI where they're trying to battle on AI for timing. It just is like...
Listen, I had fun.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was like, God damn, Tom, this was way too much.
Way too long.
Thanks for your service, but my God, like it was,
but that biplane shit is cracked.
But bruh, all I got to say to y'all is if you go for nothing for that movie, go for the submarine scene. That shit is insane. That is one of the most lit sets I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
On some Inception type shit. Like that shit was I was bugged out. Like, what is going on? Like this is fire.
And that biplane scene again.
And the biplane, like come on. And and then the nigga, he's crazy. So he does his own stunts.
I mean, like I said, that nigga's floating in that one shot. When he is like wrapped up in them wings and he's floating, not touching anything, just kind of.
He's literally doing that.
Yeah, that shit is.
And, he's king of cinema. I'll still give him that. He is king of cinema. I read something where they were like, during pandemic, it was really, allegedly, we have Tom Cruise to thank for the movie industry still being up after pandemic, because they said, during that time when all the studios were shut down, he basically called all the studios and lied and said, oh, his production company was still shooting. And like, and what he did was he kept dropping like seeds everywhere. Like, oh, y'all not doing nothing. Well, my production company, we going full out. And then, so everybody believed him. They're like, oh, fuck, Tom Cruise is still filming and he's still producing. We got it too. We can't get left behind. Wow. And then as the story allegedly goes, like he did that. And then more and more studios were like, well, shit, if Tom's going, we can't, we got to get the money too. So all the other studios came on board, and that's how it jump started the industry to get back on board during or towards the end of COVID. Well, it's not really over, but y'all know what I mean. But, that's the other part. But yeah, towards that the end of that first 2-year period, let's say that. Yeah. Yeah. COVID's still here, guys. Still real. Just saying.
Super real.
There was one part though about this that you had mentioned to me in text, which was funny to me, about the whole Scientology thing.
Yes.
This nigga, he been a billboard for this from the beginning.
It feels like he cannot contain it anymore. Like this one is the one where it turned into Tom will save us all. You know,
they've been saying that.
I know.
Jesus.
Rewatching them, yeah, it is. It's ridiculous because even in 8, his wife, his ex-wife tells him, I sleep safe at night knowing you're out there.
See, like he's fucking Batman or whatever. Like, okay, my nigga, like he, get the Tom Cruise sign up. He's coming. He gonna save us. Like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, so
they make him the Messiah every time. And then also the whole Scientology stuff is about like, it seems like not believe, like there's no point of science in the movie. If you notice that, there's no point of like the idea of like there's no bounds to the human body.
No, yeah, because that's the point of
that's very much Scientology type shit, and that's very much the motto in most of especially the later movies, and this movie 100%. Shit that is not fucking possible is just fucking happening by sheer fucking will alone, and it's mind-boggling.
I mean, and I had the realization today, like thinking about Tom Cruise, that he might be the greatest action star of all time.
100%. I will give you that.
Okay,
100%. Yes.
The only other person I could think of now, because me, I grew up on the Schwarzeneggers,
Jackie Chan?
Stallone.
I'm about to say who else was doing
that was the only other person was. Because, like I said, I grew up on Van Damme, et cetera. And the only other person that I could put in Tom, and it's so crazy because growing up, when Stallone and them was ruling the world, Tom Cruise was doing like bartender movies and racing cars, he had Top Gun, but it wasn't like I would ever think of him as an action star. Risky Business. This nigga was a pretty boy. And then he transformed. Even the Vampire Lestat. Like I'm not thinking of. He's a great actor, but I'm not thinking of him as action. And now the only other person is Jackie Chan.
Like that's the only nigga that's doing his own stunts or did his own stunts. Like,
yes.
I know he's still
and
working.
On that level of like,
and on that level of like,
and then I really got to give it to Tom because I ain't never seen Jackie Chan dive out of a plane. Like we watching the Henry Cavill one, like, and I've watched the making of that shot when that man jumps out of the plane and the cameraman jumps out behind him backwards. And I'm like watching the making of it to see, no, this shit is real. These niggas really jumped out this fucking plane.
It's fucking real. And that's why I say he's king of cinema. The spectacle is what it is. Yeah. Listen, I would say, like when we talk about the corny stuff, like the dialogue is just atrocious.
Gabriel's weak. And that's a big problem in these last two.
Gabriel is hilarious. He's the funniest. Like you mentioned, you said it very well. He's very, like when you say he went beyond just chewing the scenery, like this nigga had a 5-course meal when it comes just no, this nigga, no, he is so funny and how ridiculous and diabolical it is. Like the stuff he is saying and doing, and like he's like you ever watch like Spy vs. Spy where they sneaking around, or the old school villain that got that mustache and he's like swirling and this shit. That's what this nigga is like. It's like that. I'm gonna tie your girlfriend to the train tracks, ha ha, type shit. And it's funny as fuck because it just does not belong in this type of setting. But it just works because it's funny and it doesn't make any sense. And he and Gabriel stands out from everybody else just in terms of like, from a character standpoint. Like, why'd you say that?
No, come on.
That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler. No, we gotta bleep that. That's a spoiler.
People know this nigga going out.
No, they don't know that.
All right.
That's a spoiler. But that aside, no. All
right, but can we just say this while it's cut? Because that's hilarious. And they just talking shit and then wonk.
Stop it. No, that Mance was hilarious because his character just was incongruent to everybody else. And just he was just out there. Just a completely different shit.
Movie. Like a Looney Tunes film.
That man was out there doing shit and I fucking loved it because it was so funny.
No, you're right. I can't lie.
All the other characters was cool. There was one scene that really fucked me up. Like I actually got sad because I liked that character a lot, and I'm sorry what happened to him.
Oh yeah.
I fuck with Angela Bassett.
Over that
if y'all
shit.
remember that Angela, she was the president in the last one, so she's president again. I fuck with Angela Bassett with that. Mr. Milchek, for those who watch Severance, Mr. Milchek is in this shit. His role is cute. Very cute. I like it. And I just like him.
Did you peep Shorty too? The other Shorty from Lumen, the light-skinned black woman.
Light-skinned black woman.
She was the helicopter pilot. It's a very quick role. I'm talking maybe 1-2 scenes. But the light-skinned black woman who works at Lumen, the really pretty
she
one.
Was in there?
Yes.
Her. I didn't know she was in there. I didn't know she was one of the pilots.
She's one of the pilots.
You verify that. Okay.
She is, I mean, I peeped her. Okay. I peeped her. I was like, okay, yeah, look at cutie. But she's like, it's the lighting. She looks, even paler in this. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. But that's her.
I fuck with, is Tramel Tillman? Yeah. I fuck with him a lot. Yeah, everybody, and obviously the whole cast, the Benji, the widow, and all these people who've been there, Captain Britain, all these people. I forgot her real name. I call her Captain Britain, but
Agent Carter
with the fast hands, Agent Carter, Captain Britain. I fuck with Agent Carter. Like the whole cast is great. The cast is great. It's just ridiculous. That's going to be my blurb on Rotten Tomato. Should you watch this movie? I'm going to say yes. I would give it a tomato, which means I give it, it's good for me. I would rate it. I would still rate it a B, but from the whole franchise, I would probably say like C-.
Yeah.
And then my blurb is, it's fucking ridiculous.
I would just rate it a C- in general. I think I gave it D+ before, and it's like right around there. It's in that same range, just in general. And, except for those, except for the couple action scenes, it's just too much fucking yapping, and that's all I can say. Cut it short.
Great job, Tom.
Yeah,
don't want to see your ass no more.
No, I won't say that. I can't wait for the next one, Tom. Bring it.
You think he gonna be in it? Because they set it up so like, okay, it's gonna go on forever, like Fast and Furious. So is he gonna actually be there though, doing shit, or he gonna pop up at the end like surprise?
Nobody else is gonna risk their life like him, and I know he can't do it. But I'm just saying, I don't know who else is gonna.
There's gonna come a time when the Scientology dust is gonna run out. Then he's
that's
not
what I'm saying. He can't do it. This one was like, you can't do it. Because like
this one was like, he can't do it.
Yeah, because like the sub shit had a lot of, there was some, Anyway,
I wonder how many drugs this man was on to let this, because he's like 80 years old. So how's he doing this?
Yeah, I don't know. But no, and I don't know if they can convince somebody else. It's like the Jackie Chans and Tom Cruises don't come every day. You know what I mean? So
nah, bro. Great action hero.
Yeah, bro. The last action hero for real.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
They call him the last movie star too. The last real movie star too.
And that's just because they want to hold on to shit. Because like Michael B. Jordan ain't out here putting asses in seats.
Facts. Ooh.
Like that's some, that's some like that's some, the last movie star to who,
Facts.
For you, like.
Speaking of Michael B. Jordan, Sinners is out on digital.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if you cop. I've already put in my pre-order for the DVD.
I don't know which one I really need.
So there's 3 that I've seen. It might be more. There's one that's like, they call it a still case, where it's like a big case with like the pictures and whatnot. And then there's one that's UHD. What do they call that? The 4K HD. And then there's one that's Blu-ray. I just got the 4K and the Blu-ray because I was like, well, something's not going to work one year. So let me just get both. And plus, I don't mind giving my money to that.
I don't mind giving my money. I'm just not big on physical. I like owning things.
You don't like too much physical. I mean, that's how they got us. That's how they got us in the position we're in now, where there is no, like, we have no physical copies of nothing. And the moment they pull the plug, it's gone, right? Because sometimes it's a convenience thing. Sometimes it's just like, I don't have the space for it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's always ways to have things, you know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Yeah, my stuff don't, you can pull whatever plug you want. I'm still going to have anything I wanted to watch.
But you do like physical copies of things. Look at all the figurines you have.
And vinyl. But that's
your vinyl.
Yeah, but see, vinyl, it's like analog versions of things versus digital copies of stuff really doesn't do it for me. Like if I could actually get the film itself, that that would,
I see what you're saying. So you don't care about the DVD? Well,
yeah, because I could just have the digital copy. You know what I mean? Like that's why to me it doesn't make any difference to have the DVD versus having a digital copy. I
don't have many physical media
Yeah.
things, but the stuff I do besides like books and stuff, the stuff I do is usually like particular stuff, like Beyonce stuff, like from Renaissance and Cowboy Carter. I have that physically. I still have like physical like things like this, like my Leah self-titled album, like certain things that I've been amassed over the years, or I feel I have a particular critical importance to me. I want that physical copy. So that's why I'm like, bro, I'm getting Sinners, because this shit is
like, I'll probably get a copy of the Sinners vinyl, maybe the LP. But
is that coming out, or they have that out already?
I think it might be out. It probably sold out. I might have missed it. I have to check on that. But yeah,
no, you could get it. You could get it. I see it.
Okay, nice. All right. Well, I'll see. That's something. Cause that is something I could use too. It's like having I don't know. I might get a DVD because there's a couple DVDs that I have bought. I would usually buy stuff, also recipes, when I would show up to my dad, because that's how I would do it. Like I'd go buy a DVD and then bring it home. Like, okay, I want you to see this joint, because that'd be the easiest way for him to see it. So
the vinyl's on pre-order. Okay. And it says it's scheduled to ship, or this site anyway says it's scheduled to ship late September. The DVDs are supposed to ship like July 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And as mentioned, the digital, if you just want to buy or rent the digital, meaning like streaming, it's out now.
Yeah, now that I might cop it, like Blue Giant. I bought a digital copy of Blue Giant because I found it in other means, and I was like, I love this film that much, and I immediately bought it, So I own that joint on Amazon, but they could take that away from me anytime. So I would get a DVD of that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, they could take it away from you. They go into your hard drive or something like that. But like, if you download it and put it on
multiple
storage,
different hard drives. Yeah, I've done that.
No one can ever take it from you, right? It's still.
Well, I've already then no one's taking Blue Giant from me because
no one's touching my shit. I see.
Yeah, I've been did that. Yeah, and I was like, certain films like that. No, I'm gonna have on various hard drives around the world. But yeah.
I was gonna say, you talking about like the Sinners LP and stuff just made me think about like when you were talking about the music, right? The music and how important music is, and how like I have remembered just how much I saw it 3 times and was affected. I was devastated each time on that scene. That scene with the famous scene now when they're at the Juke joint, and the what you call it, the river of music. That's from Jimi Hendrix's perspective, from your book Hendrix. The river of music, the ancestors, the origins of music or genre, or not even knowing the genre, the origins of all the different types of musics that right? From the blues to rock, R&B, house, all this stuff. And the movie said it without saying, and I would hope that people would understand. But like, it's a larger premise that you actually touched on in a recent Threads post on IG. You said,
we quoting things. I say that. Okay, go ahead.
You said every major genre of American music is Black music. Every single one. That post got 2.8K likes, a few hundred retweets, and a few hundred, comments. And then you clarify further. You said, to be clear, Black people have been making blues music since we arrived in America. Genre, quote, only changes because of technology and time. And a ton of what we call genres is just people trying to make you forget that the particular genre is Black. Like house with EDM or heavy metal with rock, etc.
I call it Eminem genre.
Right, that was so funny. As predicted, there were a couple of people who were like, yeah, you're right. And there were much more people who were like, what are you talking about? Because everyone loves to miss the point.
Well, I mean, most people remember, the lights always count as, you getting the point, even if you don't respond or not. I count that. I don't care if you're liking it for whatever reason. So
I'm not talking about the likes. I'm talking about the comments.
Yeah, well, and then the comments I'd say the comments usually. All right, this is the thing is, like I was explaining to Tatiana off there. I've made this post in various forms throughout the years on every form of social media there ever is. I'm actually looking at this image I have right now because I just saved it from a post that I did before a few years back, because I found this image, and this image basically says blues came from Black culture, jazz came from Black culture, rock and roll came from Black culture, funk came from Black culture, soul came from Black culture, hip hop came from Black culture, disco Black culture, house Black culture, techno Black culture, jungle Black culture. Drum and bass, Black culture. Garage, Black culture. Grime, Black culture. Dubstep, Black culture. And I'm leaving out tons. Punk rock, go-go, New Orleans bounce. You know, I could go on and on and on. And when I made this post this time, it was basically because the famous EDM producer, house producer, as I like to say, David Guetta, made a statement this week talking about how he'd been DJing since before there was house. And he might actually be technically correct, you know, but it was just the point of like this being Black Music Month, this also being Pride Month, you trying to erase, and you and David Guetta, I'm speaking to, knows that house has been gentrified by the creation of EDM, by the creation of electronic dance music and all its various offshoots, trance. I mean, like, I didn't know personally, this is me personally, I didn't know that techno as techno, like techno itself comes from Detroit and it comes from Black people. Mm-hmm. Like, because I always thought of techno as that white shit. You know, like, I didn't know that techno was Black music first. You know, I didn't know that the techno that I like the old school techno is what techno is. Because I always think of techno as like shit that David Guetta makes, you know, which is really EDM or whatever. But, you know, they took that word, you know, so because when I was coming up, I wasn't taught that techno came from Detroit and that it was Black. I was always heard, oh, techno. Oh, we're going to a techno party. You know, so I was like, oh, that's that white shit. That's that white version of house is what I used to think, basically. You know, because I knew that house was Black, but I didn't realize that techno was also Black. Right. It's like how for a long time I didn't know that punk rock comes from Washington, D.C. and the first punk rock bands are Black.
Period.
It goes on and on and on. And like what I was saying is what I've also come to realize, and it's part of what we talk about. I mean, it's not part of it. It's one of the main things we talk about in Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. And it's the same thing that Sinners says. And I guess it's just this thing that's in the ether. And a lot of people have realized this throughout the years. And I think it's not very, you know, I've seen people like Roy Ayers, you know, one of the greatest musicians of all time, talk about this. Like, it's all one genre. You know, that's what he was saying. He's like, bebop, hip hop, it's all the same. You know, it's all the same. And what I realize is blues is our original form of music in this country because it's a reaction to what happened to us in this country. And so through that realization, I was like, all we've ever done is make blues. Technology changes. Okay. So that allows for different things, interpretations of blues. And also Black people are so creative that we will exhaust something. Like jazz is like the exhausting of what you're doing with instrumental music. You know, it's like what Coltrane and them are doing. You're never going, you know, you can do it, you can try, but it's like kind of like we as a culture, we're like, okay, now we're moving on to something else. You know, and there's still people doing jazz and it's bounding upon it and everything. But as a culture, we create new things over and over again. And time moves us along, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, some of the responses, like it's a typical, what I mentioned, lots of predictable stuff happening, which is like people like purposefully missing the point and throwing out red herrings. Like someone said, like classical music will have a word. I'm just like,
classical music is an American.
Why are you throwing this stuff out there? And someone said, ever heard of metal? As if metal is not from rock. But
that's the point. Like, and this is one, and they were and see that's the trick, right? Because as they claim, metal starts in England with, I guess, Black Sabbath, right? And Black Sabbath will tell you straight from their mouth that
Ozzy Osbourne said directly
where Black
create, like I've seen it, and I don't think he said it like recently. I don't even know what's going on with Mance, but many years ago, he's even said verbatim, "Oh yeah, XYZ." He would name Black artists. I think he's even said James Brown or some other people.
Course. Oh no, Sabbath is like huge.
He said James Brown. He said Jimi Hendrix, obviously, and a whole bunch of others. So
a whole bunch of blues
what
artists.
Are you talking about?
Yeah. And again, heavy metal is obviously an offshoot of rock, which comes from Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Chuck Berry, Black people. You know, like this is just how it is. And like another typical response I get, the one that I love is, oh, Western musical notation, as if that's the only form of musical notation, as if even a lot of people ever use musical notation to create music, as if people were not creating music well before Western musical notation, which means it's such a racist thing to say that like we were waiting for these white people to crawl out of their caves to develop a civilization before we started singing. Like the rest of the world wasn't making music before y'all crawled out of, because civilization goes on for thousands of years before Europe started crawling out of caves, folks.
And this is just a lot of these responses are just all distractions because you said American music.
Mm-hmm.
So all the whataboutisms. But what about this? What about that? You're not fucking talking about all this stuff that the stuff that's unrelated. We're not talking about that.
And even the stuff that's related, it's like, even when it is related, like they'll be like, oh, what about Appalachian country music?
What about this and that?
What about polka? And I'm like, are those major forms of American music? No. Because the reason is because they don't take from Black people. Because all the major forms of American music take from Black people, because Black people are the soul and the heart of this country.
And that is the crux of the concern. That is the crux of the issue. That's the crux of the argument. That's the crux of what you were saying. But that's what drives niggas crazy.
Yes. And it's like the one that I really love is when they call me racist for pointing out this fact. And it's something that is like one of the greatest forms of technology I've ever seen. When people call you racist for pointing out racism. You know, it is such a slick ass trick.
It's such a trick. Go ahead.
You know, me, I don't give a fuck, and I just block you and keep it moving because I'm never gonna even discuss someone. Like someone was like mad because I didn't respond, and someone else shut them down, and they were like, "You didn't respond." I was like, "No, because I don't respond when people use this type of, you know, when they call me a racist for pointing out racism. Like it's for me pointing out that whiteness has, you know, tried to steal all of these cultures that I named earlier: blues, jazz, rock and roll, funk, soul, hip hop, disco, house, techno, jungle, drum and bass, garage, drum, dubstep, on and on and on. Whiteness has tried to claim all of them. It's racist for me to point this out, but not racist for them to do it.
And it's not racist to undermine what you're saying by using racist approaches to say, well, you're wrong, Ben. I mean, because of this. Like that,
or you're talking pure shite, you know,
that's the wildest part.
And then, like, I wanted to make this my pinned tweet because after I said this the last time, because like I said, this is not, you know, I've said this for years, but I recently said it when Sinners came out, and then I said it the other day because of Greta. So this is like twice in a month maybe that I've said it, and the reaction was the same both times. It was, you know, blew up, thousands of lights, and a bunch of, oh, you're just trying to race bait, you're just trying to do this. And what I wanted to make my pin tweet after that, or pin thread, whatever, is I need less white men telling me about Black music. And that is like straight up and down. Because if you really are, you know, I don't believe in allies, whatever, but if you are really down and you were really about it, this shit wouldn't offend you. Like one dude was like, I know I play Black music, blah, blah. Motherfucker, it stops right there. I know I play Black music. Stop. Because if you know that, that's all I'm saying. Keep it moving after that. Enjoy it. Enjoy what we've given you. Because throughout all the drama and nonsense that you put on us as a people, we have given you nothing but greatness. Like the one that I always love to point out, because I only learned this when I went to the Smithsonian music thing, was that punk rock and punk rock and go-go both start in Washington, D.C. within like 5 years of each other. You know what I mean? Like just two magical forms of music created by Black people in 5 years' time in one city. You know, that's just like the amount of creativity that we have done. New Orleans, you know, like the shit that flows out of that fucking city and the hell you put the Black people in it through it. You know, and the shit that still comes out of that city to this day because of, you know, our creativity. And so you can't even give us that. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. And I, for one, am not going to stand for it. You know, like it's Black Music Month, it's Pride Month, it's a lot of shit. And we all, you know, this is all we do. And look, again, to Native Americans, to, you know, Indigenous, to brown people, to, you know, everyone else, to all my Asiatic, Afro-Asiatic people around the world, again, this should not offend anyone, but it damn sure shouldn't offend y'all because y'all know what y'all have contributed. You know what I mean? And none of us have ever said y'all haven't.
Right.
And you know, because I had I had one dude who claimed to be Native. Whenever you claim to be Native American online, I rarely believe you, especially when you come at me with some nonsense. You know, because if you come at me with some nonsense, I think you're white. I'm sorry, or somebody who wishes they were. In the story. Like, I don't give a fuck what race you are. If you came at me with some nonsense over that, then you're somebody who wishes they were white. Because you should have got the point. And the point is simple. We did all this in the story. It's like people are like, oh, so I can't make music now? No, motherfucker, did I say that? No. Y'all already gonna make it. I just want you to recognize where it came from. You know, like it was all these things like that I did not say.
It's the it's the arguments of fallacy, it's the logic traps, it's the you know, all of the tricks that we mentioned. It's like all this stuff that people employ because they do not know how to typically have critical thought or
just hold that L.
Or hold the L, right. Just accept the truth.
Yeah.
You know, the earth is not flat. Let's just accept the truth. You know, shit like that. Like it's just very simple things. And lots of times, you know, what people do, they be like, your comment means the absence of something else. Like that's not what I fucking said. The famous one goes on Twitter. I could say I like pancakes, and somebody will respond, "Well, what the fuck is wrong with waffles? Why are you mad at that?" And I'm just like, never what I said.
Never what I said.
That was like never what I said.
The majority of and that's another thing that I, you know, always talk about is that genre is, like I said, the idea of genre is basically racism. Because Black people, when we were creating this shit, we don't call it this shit. Miles Davis famously hates the term jazz. He wanted to call his music cultural music, basically pop music, you know, popular music. I've, you know, mad people, I've seen that, you know, throughout history, you know, Black people are always like, why do you call my music this? Why don't you just call it pop music? Because it sells. It's popular. You know, so why isn't it pop? You know, why is it jazz? Why is it disco? Why is it funk? Why is it all this other shit? You know, when it's just popular music, when it's just music for that matter. You know what I mean? Why does it have to be some other thing? But genre you need because genre allows you, one, people love defining things, but two, more importantly, it allows things to be separated and allows people to think that they can claim something. Like they can say, oh, we invented heavy metal. Motherfucker, how? Nobody, like, rest in peace to Guru, the rapper, who said, you don't own those loops. You know what I mean? Talk about music. Like, nobody owns these notes. You know, like, this shit goes back to primordial times. And if you really, when you really want to go back to it, all music is Black music because we all come from Africa. And so the first music was all made in Africa. You know what I mean? So it's like, all music comes from Black music. But it's like these notes and shit, like, the notes that we're playing in America, the notes that the majority of the chord structures, everything goes back to blues. You know what I mean? People just keep reusing it. Modern R&B, all that shit, just blues at different speeds. You know, blues and gospel, which you know, gospel comes out of the blues and spirituals, sung in the fields. You know, before we could, you know, when we out there picking that cotton and singing. Those are the, you know, it's just been reused throughout time. That, you know, we sample them now, but before people just replayed them in different ways.
Racism affects us all.
No, I mean,
racism is the bane.
It's.
Was it racist that they cut the Black Panther game? Or was that just because, like, they just shut down that shit? It was like, ain't no money. Which one was it?
See, that's the thing to me, that part of that is because of racism, straight up. Because it's the same thing where we were talking about earlier, where it's like Tom Cruise is suddenly the last, you know, movie star, when Sinners made, with definitely less promotion, etc. Sinners made as much, or like, I think it was like 1 million less than Thunderbolts, and it's gonna make way more in the long run. You know, because Sinners, as we see, it's gonna sell.
Sinners is the highest grossing original IP in a decade. That's over 100 million at this point. And then, like, people were like,
oh, it's 339 million.
Yeah.
Worldwide or whatever.
No, I think the last, that's worldwide. They were talking about domestically. And,
okay. Yeah.
And they were talking about a subset. And then they looked at it, they said, oh, Variety, remember that article you put out a month ago or 2 months ago when they was like, oh, you got a lot of, it got, like they said, oh, it had a good opening weekend, but it's got a lot of ground to cover. It's got to make that money. I was just like, what kind of a backhanded, like, article was that, or headline was that?
But we saw the same thing, and this goes back to like the Black Panther game and even the Black Panther film. And I remember the time because I was in Hollywood at the time, right? And I had um like I guess I was delusional. I can admit it now, because I was delusional, right? I was sitting there thinking, okay, Hollywood has to see that this shit made $1 billion easily. When they barely gave it any promotion or any love, just because you finally put a Black superhero up here. We about to have a ton of Black movies, right? It's time. Fuck out of here, nigga.
No.
Because whiteness won't allow that. And that's when I realized how that was my breaking point with capitalism, with white supremacy, probably with a lot of things in life, because that's when I realized that this shit will destroy the world in order to keep whiteness alive.
100%. Look at the dictatorship we're in right now.
Yeah, and it will do anything, because it will ignore money to keep whiteness alive. And that's when it's capitalism is all about making money. But whiteness is so concerned with protecting itself that it will destroy the thing that got it to where it's at.
It shoots its nose despite its face. Yes.
Yeah, it'll shut down. That is the only thing that will shut down capitalism is whiteness. It's we can't make money over here because that would give them too much strength. And that's how powerful whiteness is, where it will turn down money, which is its, main demon.
Well, Ben, just going back to the Black Panther, you can still play him in Marvel Rivals. You can still play him in. Ain't there another game coming out too?
No, there is another game, but I feel like you're right. That is part of it's just because it's and it's also racism and ignorance. So they're to this day, they're probably thinking this game won't make no money. To this day, there's execs who are thinking that.
I don't want, I'm not going to want to be naive. I'm just nigga, you really thought that? After everything that's gone on, you really thinking that?
Yes, because, Hollywood's insane and it's filled with people who are replaceable, and the video game industry is even more racist than Hollywood. So, yes, I fully believe that. I fully believe they're oh, fuck this game, it'll never, and then you got to remember the amount of money you outlay into a game is even worse than movies. So it's I get it. They, they're, the algorithms will say, because the algorithms were designed by white people, that, this game ain't gonna make no money. Mm. It's the same thing with Sinners. They projected it to make, low money. And then it makes all the money in the world. And it's how don't y'all get it? This is the director of the $1 billion Black Panther with the star of the $1 billion Black Panther with new freshness.
First of all, this whole thing about substitution, there's infinite amounts of money in this world. Yes. And the reason why I say this is, and this has nothing to do with synergy or anything, but no. Disney spent $650 million for 24 episodes of Andor.
Thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord, because it was worth it. But $650 million. This is the same Disney that say, oh, we're not going to do this movie, or we're not going to do this show, or we're not going to do this game, or whatever it is, right? There's plenty of motherfucking money out there. Anyone who tells you it ain't is fucking lying to you.
You had an article about that though, right?
Yeah. From Tony Gilroy, he actually he was on a Q&A at the ATX festival, and he was saying how they had to fight really hard for that money. And they were told, at first, they were told, oh, streaming is dead. When when they was doing season 2, they was the executives or whomever was basically just giving him bad vibes, just saying, I don't know how this is gonna go. Oh, I don't think this is gonna make it the way it needs to make it, and it did. Critical acclaim, praise, all that stuff. But yeah, it took $650 million. And Gilroy said that he never took any notes from Disney. So when we say notes, we mean a higher up will see a episode or see the script, and they will give notes about, well, you can or cannot do this.
Let me say, no, because they said the only notes they ever got from Disney was.
Well, I was getting there, but yeah.
But let me say, take notes. The fact that I don't know how you see, I'm speechless for a second there, because it's there's so many levels to this shit that I just don't understand how this show got made. And this is one of those times where I really wanted to say this too, because a lot of out here hate on Kathleen Kennedy. right? A lot of people spend their entire online lives and offline lives hating on Kathleen Kennedy and demanding her head be on the chopping block at every other goddamn moment. And I, for one, have always thought it was some nonsense. From the day she was hired, I thought it was some nonsense. To this day, I think it's nonsense. And this woman is responsible for putting that $650 million into Gilroy's pockets so he can make what is one of, if not the greatest television show of all time. I don't like saying it is the greatest, but it's one of them. You know what I mean? In the story. It's top 5, dead or alive.
Yeah.
In the story.
And then one note you're referring to was actually like he wanted in the first season, he wanted Andor, whomever, to say "fuck the Empire."
Marva in her speech.
He wanted one of the characters, Marva in this case, to say "fuck the Empire," and that was the one thing that Disney was like, "No, and you can't do that."
That's where I want to say this is like that's the other side of it where I just don't understand. Because one, I don't understand Kathleen Kennedy or any studio exec giving anybody that much money to do a show where they know in their heart of hearts, like
they knew what it was.
Yeah, you can feed that into the algorithm, and that's just coming back like, nigga, shit ain't making no money. You can feed that straight to a computer. It's gonna tell you straight up. And they were right, because it's critically acclaimed and it did good, but it ain't like the hit. You know, Andor is not like raining that money. Yeah, it is not. It has no merchandising opportunities. Yeah. There's none of that. There ain't no cute shit in it where they can sell afterwards. None of that. And they knew that going in. So it's that. And the fact that they don't have any notes that said that. Like, let me tell y'all, from working on American Gods and a lot of other things in Hollywood that y'all haven't will see or not see, who knows, notes are a constant. Notes are like, you just learn to live with them, and every person adopts their different way of getting through them, but they are constant. And sometimes they're absolutely batshit insane. I had someone once tell me I want the characterization to be like the 1970s Superman cartoons. It was 2022. And I was like, I don't know what you mean exactly, you know, but I'm just trying to eat that and keep writing. And, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, Tony and them and friends got away with most things except for this whole "fuck the Empire" thing. They changed it to "fight the Empire."
And it's probably for the best, because I didn't think that needed a "fuck the Empire." It would have felt weird. Like,
really?
Yeah, because one, Star Wars doesn't curse. You gotta remember that. So it's like,
they was cussing in this. What you mean?
They said shit twice. That was it. Yeah, and that was it. And even the shits felt a little unnecessary.
It's just the word "fuck." That's what's so big deal.
It's just unnecessary. And also, fight the Empire is what it's
stronger. Really, fight the Empire is stronger.
That's what I need to do. I don't need to, you know, like
smash the Empire. Fight this.
Yeah. We ain't out there glazing the Empire, you know. We out there fighting them.
Oh my gosh, that's fair. That's fair.
So, you know, I felt stronger, and I think that was a good note. You know what I mean? It probably didn't come from that place. It probably came from, we don't want you saying fuck on a Disney Star Wars show, but it worked out for the best. I think.
That's the only thing I keep forgetting. At the end of the day, this shit, and this is completely different than everything else that's on Disney Plus under the Star Wars umbrella anyway. But like, Andor is just an outlier. Like, there's nothing like this. There's nothing on that streaming channel, network, whatever you want to call it. There's nothing like it
anywhere. The only other thing, I mean, there's a lot of great things about Revolution, right? You know, but this is one of them ones. Like, I talk about Athena, RRR. You know,
love like Athena, love her.
You know, this is right up there with it. If not, I mean, to me, it's just one of the greatest things that I've ever seen on Revolution. You know, I need to see more things like this. Hopefully I will, because goddamn.
Well, we need it right now. We need it desperately, especially in a situation, like I said, in the dictatorship that we're living in right now.
Lord have mercy.
Ben, did you want to talk about your comments, or did you want to answer a question or two?
All right, well, let's do some questions.
Okay. So, as y'all know, we brought back the Geekquently Ask Question segment, where we ask our lovely fan fam and everyone listening any type of question you have. It could be about comments. It could just be about life. It could be some personal things you're going through, you just want our advice, whatever it is, whatever you want to talk about, any topic, just ask. And, we might answer, right? So I can't even hold you. We ain't going to answer.
We probably will.
We probably will, but if it's egregious, probably not. One of the questions comes from Arigato from YouTube. They write, what is your favorite episode of the show? And by that, they mean ForAllNerds show. They said, I have many, but I love the one where you two talk about raising Dion. And they yell out, Ma! Now, this made me for those who are longtime listeners, and I don't know if y'all even know. I mean, this is years ago now. But there was a show, Raising Dion, which is a young Black kid on Netflix, right?
I think it was.
It was originally like a short film. I think that was like a Kickstarter. It became a Netflix series. It's about a young Black boy, could have been like 10 or something like that, that he gets magic powers, right?
I mean, I was like 28 in terms of volume.
And if I recall, yes, it was like a Kickstarter or something because I supported it. And it was like a comic book. It was something. I think
it was a comic book.
Yes, it was a comic book graphic novel that got turned into the Netflix series. So anyway, I was a big supporter of it. Fantastic story. Like Ben became a fan of it. Really, really good story. And then, fast forward to this Netflix series. And it didn't go the way we thought it would. Just in terms of, and people was just like, yo, we are so harsh on the kid actor. But that little boy was just loud and wrong and just out of control. And it just did not fit with what the story was about.
It didn't fit with whatever was going on in any given scene. My man was turned up to 10 no matter what was going on. Niggas should be whispering, trying to hide. Right. Yo, we trying to hide?
No, for real. And then every episode he would be like, Ma, like yelling for his mother. So that's where the Ma thing came from. That's probably one of my favorites too. Arigato. That's probably one of my favorites too. There's literally, we've had hundreds of episodes now. We've been in the game for 10 years.
Plus.
So not even, are we at 1,000 episodes? We got to be at 1,000 at this point. Maybe
Probably.
thousands at this point, because I know years ago we were at 500. So we got to be at thousands at this point. And I
don't remember most of the episodes.
I think maybe people like Michael K. Williams.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Michael K. Williams, and you listening to 5 All Nerds, but I'm a nerd.
Like when he was on, that was incredible. Like moments that, either defined us as a show or movements that we helped spearhead. Lovecraft Country. We was one of the, the top podcasts about that. You know what I'm saying? And how we had a lot of collaboration with HBO.
Safe Negro Pod.
Stuff like that. Like, we've had a lot of huge things occur in our history. I mean, even more recently, being invited to the African American Museum of History and Culture. Like, we spoke there. We did a podcast episode there, understand? And it's, I can't pinpoint it to just one show. I would just say it's a culmination of experiences, and that there are some really bright experiences that I remember,
Same.
Very well.
And it's funny, a lot of mine come from running up on people.
Yeah. Y'all don't know, a lot of, y'all don't know the things we do to be getting these interviews sometimes.
Juno Diaz, I ran up on him at a book signing and told him about this. And this is like a moment and one of those things, because I told him about what we did. And he was like, oh, you're just living the dream. And I was like, no, nigga, you're living the dream. But and then he came on the show and said it. He's like, if I wasn't writing books, this is one of the things I'd love to be doing, documenting our culture, And I was like, that's really fire. Or when I ran up on Damon Lindelof at the Watchmen after party, and I basically screamed on him. And it was like, you need to get this right. And he, then came on the show, and we've been cool ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Fuller and Michael Green, which led to me and Mello working in Hollywood. So yeah, it's it's just a lot of, but then it's like those episodes are like the big ones and all those guests and stuff, but it's like all the all-star reviews of anything.
Yes, our all-star reviews are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like when we have that full house, when it's like Rod and Janicia and Regine, like when we have the crew and even like the new people who show up, like those are out of control. Tahoe, those are always out of control. I love them.
Yeah, because I just love, comedy, and I'm a big fan of comedians. And so being around, funny and, like different people, it's just always some of my best stuff. But then it's like, all the interviews, talking to different people from like the smallest to the largest guests, it's always just getting people's different viewpoints. That was just something that I think we created the show to do was, well, I know one of the things I always say, like, rest in peace to Combat Jack, is that he would say about the Combat Jack show is that it's not a hip hop show. It's a show about showing people the pathways to success. And he would say that, we show people all these different lifestyles and all these different ways that people live. And so people can find their own path to success. And I feel like we've continued that tradition on the show by showing you not just the actors or the directors, but also the writers, the producers,
everybody,
the artists.
Involved.
I mean, down the line, we've just had everyone on this show. And so that's been a big joy of mine. And just showing people that success comes in so many different forms. Success is how you define it. And so I think that was, and then, it's like the little shit, man. Reading questions from people, or like when people send us heartfelt letters and emails. It's all this type of stuff, man. Yeah, I can't.
I mean, all of it's important.
One thing. Yeah,
all of it's important. And just to reiterate that last part, he said, like, we read these things, right? So yes, there's a lot of stuff coming into the inbox, but we read these things and we respond. It may take a little while, but we do respond too. So, I want people to know that, like, it's not just going into a black hole. Like this stuff gets looked at and, and contemplated. And, as mentioned, 99% of the time we'll probably respond, but, they be that 1% where y'all are wilding. But just saying, you know what I mean? There's one question I want to get in, Ben, before we start getting towards wrap up. It's a heavy one, but it's an important one. This one comes from Brandon Yasan. They write, how did you find what you wanted to do in your life? I've had multiple jobs and had a few years making money as a musician. But around 2021, I just started losing interest in everything I was doing up until that point. It's been 4 years and I still can't find it. Let me start by saying this. I'm not there yet, Brandon Yasan, in terms of what do I want to do. I have things I like to do, but I don't think there's just one door where I'm like, this is what I want to do in my life. And that's the path. Some people have that gift and know it early, where they're like, I want to be a fucking scientist, and they keep on that path, and that's all they fucking do, and it's laser focused. I like to do a lot of different things, and the stuff that I like to do is an amalgamation of things, and it doesn't even exist. The job I want, quote unquote, doesn't exist. I want, I'm an executive, I'm a producer, I'm a musician, I'm a podcaster, I'm all of these things, but there's no one job or one thing that fits all these things into a clean category, right? Has taken years of building our craft. It's taking years of building experience. It's taking years of also consistency too. Like I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I am a podcaster. I am a producer. I'm an editor. I know how to do all these things because I have years of experience and I have years of honing the craft. I'm an interviewer. I'm a media professional. I've had years experience and years of honing craft because of consistency. I know how to interview because of consistency. And I think that's maybe one of the ways you start finding, if you feel like you're not in a space where you don't know if it's your space, I think sometimes what's often missing is that level of consistency. That it's okay to try different things and stuff, but like if you find a spark, you gotta drive through that. Like you gotta stay on that spark, and then it's going to get hard.
Yeah.
Period. If you're doing it the right way, and this is important, if you're doing things the right way, it's gonna get hard. It's gonna be shit. You have no idea what you're doing, and it's gonna be stuff where You are trying and it feels like it's failing, or it feels like you're not getting nowhere. But that's where the difference is. You have to be consistent and keep doing it anyway. Rest in power to Jazz Fly. Do it scared. That's something she a quote she coined, and I one of the things I live by. You don't know how this is gonna go or how it's gonna feel. Do it scared. I'm not saying jump out the window and go chase your dream being a paintball artist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can do the things you want to do within reason. Just have some backups there too. You still may need to have that side job. That's okay. I still got a full-time, but I'm doing this because this is what I love. And I'm being consistent and making the moves and building plans so I don't have to have the day job no more. I can do this. I would say this, Brandon, that idea of I'm so humble that you think, at least for me, that you think that I found what I want. Like, I think it's still an ongoing journey. I don't think it's just one destination that I've made it and I'm in it. I found something that was passionate about, interested in me, and things that I thought I could grow in. And doing this shit was not easy. It still isn't easy. In some respects, it's not easy because there's still stuff that you have to learn and grow through. Like, it was literally just keeping consistent and keeping at it because this is something that was important enough to me. So consistency is my answer to that.
I would second that part on consistency. And then I would also second what you say about not. All right, now with me, I was a bit different, but I'll get to how I'm also the same. Like, I grew up very early on, like some of my earliest memories revolve around Star Wars. And from the time I can remember, I knew who George Lucas was, and he was my idol. And I was like, that's what I want to do, make movies like this dude, one day. And then the other thing that very early on, I think because of Star Wars, I was also obsessed with space. And living in Houston, I was very close to NASA. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be an astronaut. And I don't know, I guess I was like, I'll be an astronaut, then maybe I'll make movies. But astronaut was very much my main thing. And then the space shuttle blew up, and I was like, I'm good. And also, I just also learned, I mean, it was really personal, it was really, I'm much
Ron
older,
McNair
the traumas,
Ron
McNair, etc. And also, I just realized how tough it is to become an astronaut. And I was like, I'm good. I like chilling way too much. So it was, pretty much I was focused on making movies. I wrote, I thought about movies all the time. And then around 16 years old, I just randomly kind of like wanted to become a DJ. It was really random, honestly. Like, it's so weird. Like, I was watching music videos one night, and I just thought DJ Premier looked so cool in one video, and then Mr. Long in the Black Sheep video. And then honestly, the DJs I knew always had girls around them, so that helped. And I was like, that's something that I need. So I just wanted to become a DJ, and I had no musical training, no musical inclination. I've told this story before. I couldn't snap on beat. I could not 1, 2, 3, 4, just none of this. But I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a DJ, and consistency. I bought some stupid cheap equipment, had a couple of stupid cheap records that I'd gotten for free. And then I started spending every dollar I got on fucking vinyl and buying more records. And every minute I have on just studying the craft. And then I went to Howard and I met more DJs. And I just, from there, it just became like, I became a scientist of shit, like just, absorbing it constantly. And now it's like, I'm kind of at the same point you are, Brandon. Like, I was supposed to drop a new song that I produced on Monday of this week. It's now Wednesday as we're recording this. I have not released it yet. I've actually been watching some videos about, building a story in music as you're releasing stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure that out and then make a few videos. And I'm going to release it probably by Friday of this week or Monday of next week at the very latest. But it's the same thing where I'm sitting there like, man, I'm working on all this music at home and I know it's pretty dope, but I know the realities of, putting out music in 2025 and all this other shit. And it becomes where I'm like, what's the point? And damn, why am I doing this? And I go through all these things and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a failure, this and that. I have all these feelings, bro. Like, it just is natural. It is what it is. So I would say, yo, one, let me hear some of that shit you working on. Like, and
Yeah.
two, if you're like making money as a musician, man, that's something like, okay, I learned this from Michael Green, right? Who is a super, well-established screenwriter. But Michael once told me, like, Ben, if you were getting paid as an author, I don't care how much you're getting paid writing something, you are doing better than 95% of other writers out here. You know what I mean? So, bro, like, if you're getting paid a musician, like, I DJ weddings, mainly to make money right now. It's something I don't always enjoy, but it pays well. And it's like, I've learned that, sometimes you just got to do the work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not going to be every gig you're not going to love, but you just got to put in that work.
Brandon noted that they started losing interest in everything that they were doing up to that point. And I would say that's an introspective point that you have to negotiate within yourself, right? And whether it's through therapy, whether it's through journaling, like some combination thereof, like you need to really investigate that, because that's important to understand yourself in that way. Like, well, why do I feel like this?
Yeah, and if it is on some music stuff, like where you're like not very inspired, I would say, you got to find the inspiration, but also look at it, like try and look at it in a different way. That's what has helped me in my journey of music. Like when I started, I was really like, this is the video I'm about to actually make. I want to talk about this journey of like how I started producing music, because I was really getting driven out of my mind doing weddings all the time. Because I come from where I was doing all kind of ill shit as a DJ, doing this party, that party. And then I'm just doing weddings every week. And it's like, oh my God, this fucking Groundhog Day. And I'm getting driven out of my mind. So I'm like, I got to do something to find this creativity again. So I started producing, house music and dance music, because it's the music that I love. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm making some dope shit. And I'm like, now I got to put it out. So then I had somebody who would mix my music, who would engineer it for me. And then they stopped engineering for a time. They wanted to take a break. So I'm like, all right, fuck, I got to learn this. But it's like each of these steps, when I learn things, it's changed my viewpoint and it inspires me to learn more or to do more. And then, of course, every time, like Tatiana said, it's been a battle. Like I start making beats and I'm like, 10 of them are whack and one of them are good. And now that ratio's gotten better. And then I start trying to teach myself engineering. I'm like, oh my God, people spend years in school for this. What am I doing? I don't know shit, but I sit there and watch some YouTube videos and I keep practicing. I just keep working on it. And now it's to the point where my joints are sounding pretty good. Yeah. And I might not know every little thing, but I know enough. And it's like, you just got to keep learning and keep going. Like you said, consistency, man. It's the easiest and the hardest part of it all.
Yeah, 100%. And just maybe the last thing I was thinking about as Ben was talking was just, do not compare yourself to others.
Do not do that shit all the time.
Do not compare yourself to others in terms of better or worse. Do not compare yourself in terms of where you are in your journey to someone else's journey. That is something that it was a hard lesson for me, and I got it. Now I got it now. It doesn't matter where that other person is in their life, how it may look, how far ahead or how much they got it together. Their journey is their journey, and your journey is your journey. There is no particular time or date where you were supposed to be having this or be in this particular place. It doesn't work like that. It does not work that. Your journey is your journey. Your life is your life. And you got to center yourself and figure out how do you feel and why you feel a certain way. And you have to push forward.
When I was incarcerated at one point in my life, I read a lot. And one of the things I read, this quote that always sticks with me is, how do you know that you are in the right place for your spiritual growth at any given moment? Because you're in that place.
You are. You exist.
Because you're here right now, this is where you should be. This is
the time. Brandon Yasan, you exist.
Yeah. Now and right now, wherever you are is that moment that you should be for your spiritual growth. Now, whether or not it's for what you want to grow in is another question.
It's a journey.
But your spiritual growth is what you're on this planet for.
Facts. Well, that is all the guac questions
they didn't have a lighter note part. You got to ask their lighter note question.
Okay, fine. Yeah. On a lighter note, who's your favorite hero growing up?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, we don't want him to feel like he just brought us down for this whole episode.
Well, I didn't feel that. I felt empowered, but that's you,
True,
boy.
indeed. No, I feel great. Yeah.
Who's your favorite hero growing up? Mine's was Storm. Quick answer. They say Scarlet Witch or Rogue and get it over with.
No, but they weren't really.
Rogue, so who was it?
I was just.
You just had a crush on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she might have been my favorite. If not her, it's probably Long Shot.
But Rogue and Storm are my favorites.
Yeah, it's like middle school. See, I'd say Long Shot. Yeah, that was growing up. Yeah, Long Shot, definitely. I love that nigga.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, arigato. Thank you to everyone who's put in questions. We will answer more next time on the next episode. As mentioned, if you have a question for us, it could literally be about anything, whether it's about fandom related, whether about pop culture, music, whatever. Even if you just want some insight or advice, we're here for you. You can hit us up a few ways. Contact at ForAllNerds.com, ForAllNerds.com, or you can hit us up on the socials. Like we'll usually put like a little guac post up, and you could ask the questions right there in the comments. So make sure you're following For All Nerds everywhere. We're on TikTok, IG, Blue Sky, everywhere. Just make sure you do that.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, because I did want to mention some comic books. You know what I mean? It's been a minute since we brought back the guac. Might as well bring back comics. Since I've been talking about Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze so much, I did want to mention a few other joints that I've been reading, and shout out to the good people at Stranger Comics, because they actually sent me this graphic novel right here, Defiant, the story of Robert Smalls. I think you can see that on my screen right now. Beautiful graphic novel. I actually was at San Diego Comic-Con last year when Hendrix debuted, and I walked by this table and bought like the preview. They had a preview of this graphic novel, and like I got a pen with it because I was like, this shit fire, like they had a dope pen and a dope little poster and everything. So I was like, okay, let me check this out. And then randomly, these people hit me up on the emails like, would you like the book? And I'm like, hell yeah, I got the preview. Send me the book. So Defiant, the story of Robert Smalls, is about a former slave who joins the Confederate Army during the Civil War and then basically flips it and bounces it, gains his freedom, etc. I mean, my man's name is Defiant. You know what I mean? Of course. You know what it's about.
It's fire. And written by whom?
His full name is Rob Edwards. Art by Sean Damian Hill and Alex Patterson. It's out now from Stranger Comics. Defiant.
Yeah. And Stranger Comics is the same publisher that did Niobe.
Yep.
So, by Sebastian Jones.
Yeah. So, fire art, fire story. Doesn't very much like it's in the same vein of Big Jim and the White Boy, where it's like, someone from the present is telling this story about the past.
And Big Jim and the White Boy was phenomenal. So yeah.
And this is like it, vain but different vibe, I'd say, than Big Jim and the White Boy. But both fire books. I was really impressed with this. Didn't go like there was a moment where I thought it was going to go one way and it went the other way, and I was really happy that it went the other way. Is all I'll say.
And I like the art. I'm on the Stranger Comics site. I'm looking at all the other covers and stuff. Yeah. I really like the art.
They got the one, I don't know if they did a cover for it, but they had a preview copy of this poster of it where they did Shaft. Like it's like Defiant, but like the old Shaft movie.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it was fire.
You see it? Shaft homage, yeah.
Yep.
It was from San Diego Comic-Con, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that shit. When I walked by that, I was ooh. And I don't know if they had a pin on there, but they have that pin from that cover where he's shooting the gun. I've got the pin, but it's like, damn, where can I wear this black man shooting a gun pin? That's like I need the right occasion for that joint. But yeah, fire book, definitely check that out. And also very quick, because this one everyone is going to be talking about for some time this week from Marvel. Wow. The World to Come by the legends Christopher Priest and Joe Quesada, Quesada, I think it's Quesada. Quesada has not done like interior art in 10, 15 years. He was one of the biggest of all time in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then he moved up to editorial and I'm not sure if he's Marvel's editor-in-chief now, but no, he's not anymore. But for a long time he was. So, he got rich and chilled out, basically. He don't need to do that art shit no more. So him coming back to do art is a big thing because him and Priest used to do Black Panther back in the day. So this is the new book, The World to Come, Marvel Knights. I'm not sure what exactly is, if it's an alternate world, alternate history of Wakanda, or if it is supposed to take place in the 616. I'm not 100% sure. But the news is out. The end of this issue. Spoiler alert for anyone who is living under a rock right now. And this has been out for days, so it ain't really that much, news. It's revealed that T'Challa has a white son. Blonde hair and a blue-eyed white.
Adoptive? Or is the son a...
It's a mystery. Like, this is called The World to Come, and it employs what's that, like a out of order time sequence telling. Like, it starts off 16 years after The World to Come, as it says. It's like, this is 16 years after The World to Come. And then it'll jump 28 years before The World to Come, 8 years before The World to Come, 8 years after The World to Come. It never in the first issue says what is The World to Come. What happened at that moment where it becomes The World to Come. That is not, it's not like the death of T'Challa or anything. That's established, because actually T'Challa dies, in another spoiler, on the second page as an old man. Like 28 years after The World to Come, it begins and T'Challa passes away as an old man on the throne. So what happens in between is the story they're telling. Much like how we all know that Andor is going to die at the end of Rogue One.
Yeah.
Spoiler. But, he is. And Andor is still great because you're learning what it makes his life. And that is what you will learn this, and also why T'Challa has a white son. I don't know. I've got some theories. Yeah, it is random, especially when you read the book, because throughout the book that, Storm is mentioned, his marriage, he marries Oro, she passes away. Well, I don't want to spoil the whole goddamn book, but his mention of Oro, his marriage to Storm is mentioned. There's other romances with another Black woman, but there's no, white women up in this joint as of yet. So where does white boy
maybe it was
come
immaculate
from?
Conception. Who knows? Who knows at this point? It's Marvel. Who knows?
His midichlorian
his midichlorian count is so fucking high.
So I don't know, but as Leonardo said, you have my attention, but now I'm intrigued. Yes. I can't lie. I got to that last page. I'm gonna have to make a short video on this because I have a couple of theories as to who this white boy is and why he's his son. But we'll get more into that. I just want to know what y'all think. Let me know. Please make sure you check out, at the very least, check out Defiant, the story of Robert Smalls from Stranger Comics, out now. And everyone and their mama gonna be talking about this world to come. So you might as well grab you some of that too.
Yes, please.
And also, I know you're not up to it as latest, but the latest issue of the Power Fantasy just dropped this week. And
oh yeah, I need to catch up.
You need to catch up. It's brilliant. Yeah. The latest issue is a big twist. There won't be another issue till July. So you got some time to catch up. Yeah, you got some time to catch up right now. And the latest issue is one of those, like, at the end of it, it's a shocking moment. And it's actually, I think I peeped that there's two big shocking moments, but the second one is the one people are fixated on. And I think the first one is more important. But yeah.
Okay. Well, shout out to Kieran Gillen on that.
Yep. Very well done as always.
Before we go, one thing I just wanted to remember that we mentioned, love and peace to Regine Sawyer, founder, director, whatever her title is, about Wink Wincy, Women in Comics Collective International. She has had an ongoing GoFundMe. It's titled "Donate to Help Keep My Home," organized by Regine Sawyer. We'll put like the links in, like, in the post or in the chat, like, and it'll probably be a link in our profile at some point too, but on socials. But we definitely want to encourage. I know we all have already here on For All Nerds, the team here, but please, if you can, please donate to Regine's GoFundMe. Again, Regine is not only a friend of the show, but she's a huge figure within the comic space. She's done so much for other people, her entire career, her entire being an adult that was able to do other things for other people. She's always gone above and beyond for everybody else. And I think the least we can do is try to go above and beyond for her. So I definitely, please hit up that GoFundMe, look at it. If you only could do $1, that's $1 she didn't have before. Please definitely hit up that GoFundMe and support Regine on that.
Word. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to one of For All Nerds' own fam, our brother Richie.
Yes.
I will definitely butcher his last name. So can you help me out?
Richie Aquino.
Aquino. Yeah. Our brother Richie Aquino dropped Horse, a short film by Richie Aquino.
Okay, Spike Lee, relax.
No, the one who's really famous for that is your man Eddie Murphy. When you watch Boomerang, because it's like written by Eddie Murphy, directed by Eddie Murphy, produced by Eddie Murphy, starring Eddie Murphy.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. No, but Richie Aquino, fam extraordinaire, dropped Horse, a short film on YouTube. We'll also drop the link for that in, the comments, all that, because it's a bit difficult to find. I had to search out Horse and put in my man's whole name for it to come up. But when you do, it does come up. And Horse is a short film about two brothers, one of them's birthday, and a game of horse. And it's very short, 11 minutes. I will say this, Richie, you got some acting skills that I did not know you had. Like, my man plays a couple characters in this joint, and, the comedy was there. So definitely check it out. Great little short film. Horse, we'll put the link to it. Ended with, I need more. I will say that. I definitely need the sequel to Horse 2. I don't know, horses. Nah. Neither of those.
21.
21. There we go. Yeah. No, but people in other places, I've heard this, that people in other places play they use other words than horse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so flip it into one of them joints, and there you go. There's your part 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, definitely, I will say the comedy is there's some, great comedy in this short film. So need a laugh, keep it. Horse, we'll put the link on it. Shout out to Richie. Congratulations to you and your brother on this joint, for real. Hey y'all, thank you for watching this For All Nerds video, whatever video it was that you just watched. Make sure you hit these buttons below. Press all those buttons, that like, that subscribe, whatever you see right below these fingertips right here. Just hit them. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.